It was an ordinary evening in India's capital until it wasn't. At exactly 6:42 p.m., near Delhi's historic Red Fort, a place that has witnessed centuries of India's history, a sudden blast ripped through the air. A slow-moving car, stopped at a red light, erupted into a ball of fire. Within seconds, chaos consumed the street. Screams, flames, and shattered glass filled one of the most crowded corners of Old Delhi. At least 10 people were killed, over 30 injured, many fighting for their lives. Eyewitnesses say nearby cars and auto rickshaws burst into flames as the shockwave tore through the neighborhood. Dr. Manish Kumar Jha from Lok Nayak Hospital described the aftermath as devastating as paramedics rushed victims through corridors overflowing with smoke and panic. The area around Red Fort, usually buzzing with tourists and commuters, quickly transformed into a high-security zone. Roads were sealed, helicopters hovered above, and as the sirens faded, the question began to echo across Delhi and beyond. What exactly happened near one of India's most iconic landmarks, and why? Authorities have yet to confirm the cause of the explosion, and speculation has been rife across media and social networks. Delhi police stated that all possibilities are being explored, while India's Home Minister Amit Shah announced that a high-level investigation was underway. Surveillance footage from nearby areas is being reviewed, and forensic teams have begun analyzing vehicle fragments for traces of explosives. The explosion occurred in one of Delhi's most densely populated and historically sensitive neighborhoods, prompting an immediate security clampdown. Airports, metro stations, and government installations across India were placed on high alert, with security forces in neighboring states like Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra tightening surveillance. The Red Fort, a national symbol where the Indian Prime Minister delivers Independence Day speeches, has always been heavily guarded, but this incident has rekindled debates about the effectiveness of India's urban security apparatus. In the immediate aftermath, eyewitnesses described scenes of confusion and panic. Videos circulated online showed bystanders rushing toward the flames, some attempting to rescue those trapped in nearby vehicles. "We heard a massive explosion and the windows of our house shook," one resident told NDTV. Another described seeing a ball of fire rise into the sky before hearing screams. Independent journalist Amit Barua, speaking to Al Jazeera, noted that the area around Red Fort is one of the most crowded parts of the city, which makes it especially vulnerable to such incidents. He added that Delhi had not witnessed an explosion of this magnitude in years, which is why it shatters the calm of the capital city. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed condolences to the victims' families and wished the injured a speedy recovery, while opposition leaders called for transparency and accountability in the investigation. As investigators probe the incident, political discussions have already begun to shape the public narrative. Some analysts and online commentators have drawn attention to the timing of the explosion, coming just before crucial state elections in regions like Bihar and Jharkhand. Historically, India has seen spikes in violent incidents or alleged terror plots during politically charged periods, prompting critics to question whether heightened security threats sometimes align too neatly with electoral timelines. While no concrete evidence has yet emerged linking the Red Fort blast to such motives, commentators recall past incidents where violence became central to election season rhetoric. The 2008 Ahmedabad blasts and the 2019 Pulwama attack, for instance, both occurred in contexts that later shaped strong nationalist narratives during campaigns. In this sense, the Red Fort blast has revived discussions on how terrorism and internal security are framed within India's political landscape, and how quickly such events can influence voter sentiment. Adding another layer of complexity are the claims circulating on social media and within certain regional outlets suggesting that the Red Fort explosion could potentially be a false flag operation. a staged or manipulated event designed to serve political or strategic ends. These claims, which remain unverified, cite past examples such as the Pahalgam incident, where initial reports of Pakistan's involvement were later questioned by independent observers. Analysts caution that such allegations should be approached critically and await official findings. However, the very fact that such speculation gains traction reflects the deep mistrust that now characterizes India's domestic discourse. With a politically polarized media environment, narratives around security often split sharply along party lines, blurring the line between factual reporting and political messaging. Experts in South Asian security studies argue that the recurring politicization of violence erodes institutional trust and fuels conspiracy thinking, making it harder for the public to discern truth from strategic storytelling. The pattern of heightened terror alerts or attacks before elections is not new in India's modern history. In several cases, security-related incidents have directly influenced the tone and content of political campaigns. During the 2019 general elections, the Pulwama suicide bombing and India's subsequent Balakot airstrikes became central themes in the ruling party's narrative of strong national defense and decisive leadership. Similarly, local elections in states like Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, and Bihar have often seen law and order or cross-border terrorism become dominant talking points. Political observers suggest that when security concerns overshadow socio-economic issues, it benefits parties that present themselves as protectors of the nation. This dynamic, while politically effective, risks transforming genuine security threats into tools of political mobilization. The current blast near Red Fort, though still under investigation, arrives at a moment when domestic politics and security discourse are once again deeply intertwined. Across the border, Pakistan's media and strategic analysts have followed the developments closely but cautiously. While the Pakistani government has not issued any official statement linking itself to the event, several commentators have warned that India could use the explosion to revive anti-Pakistan sentiment or justify aggressive rhetoric. Pakistan-based think tanks have noted that in the past, incidents of domestic unrest or terror in India have occasionally been used to deflect attention from internal crises or to frame Islamabad as a perpetual security threat. Conversely, Indian analysts argue that such claims are part of a broader disinformation campaign aimed at undermining India's credibility. This exchange of accusations underscores how fragile regional narratives remain. In a region with a history of unresolved conflicts, even a single explosion in a major capital can ripple outward into diplomatic suspicion and strategic posturing, particularly when both nations are already navigating tense relations. Tonight, as Delhi's streets return to a tense silence, the Red Fort blast leaves behind more than broken glass and burned vehicles. It leaves behind questions. Questions about security, about politics, and about truth itself. Was this a tragic accident, an act of terror, or something far more complicated? For now, no one knows. But what's clear is how quickly narratives begin to form, and how easily fear becomes a political weapon. Across South Asia, history shows that whenever violence meets politics, facts are often the first casualty. And in an age of social media storms and instant outrage, the line between investigation and interpretation has never been thinner. The Red Fort explosion isn't just another headline, it's a reminder of how fragile trust has become. In nations shaped by decades of tension, it only takes one spark to inflame suspicion and one tragedy to rewrite narratives. For the millions watching, the truth about what happened near Red Fort will matter, not just for Delhi, but for the stability of an entire region. Because sometimes, what's at stake isn't just who's behind the blast, but who controls the story that follows.